Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. MBG Live. We do this every Wednesday. It's basically like comic book club. Can't steal the title because I'm 95% sure somebody other podcast uses it. But that's essentially what we're doing. It's our book club. You know, we like to talk about books that we are reading, books that we think we should read, books that you may like to read in the future. Say nice things about artists. Be critical where warranted. We're the Mouthbreathers Guild. This week we'll be talking about Deadly Class by Rick Remender and Wes Craig. It was a lot of fun. We'll dive into it in a bit, but as always, just a quick plug. We are the Mouthbreathers Guild. We're a collective of artists and an indie comic publisher where we make our own comics. So we've got some of our comics here. We've got The Legend of Carl by Manny. We've got The Time Police by Ben. We didn't technically publish this one, but Ben is one of our affiliate artists, and you can get this book at
the Time Police store on Etsy. Go get your copy now.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah. We've got Renowned. This is Manny and I's sci-fi monster of the week anthology. It is high fantasy, sci-fi good stuff. You shall enjoy it if you read it. We've got Manny's dark fantasy book, Remise. It is dark and twisted and absolutely wonderful. And then we've got All You Can Eat. This is our first anthology where we are actually putting on artists other than ourselves, all based out of North Carolina. It's got me and Manny and Ben, and it's got Bailey Powell and Ryan Oakley and Noel McCann. It's got Nate Gimby based out of Chicago. He's a great artist. It's all in here. You can get all of this at mouthbreathersguild.com should you be interested. I'm going to say that multiple times through the stream, mouthbreathersguild.com. More importantly, you can join our Discord where you can participate in these live streams. You can recommend books for us to read. You can have us talk about your art you like. We just nerd out about comic books and video games and shit we like. It's a kick-ass time. With me, as always, I have on the screen above me, Ben Hill.
What's up?
And then on audio and streaming on his own Twitch, Manny Tavares.
It's me. It's Manny.
That's Manny. What a guy. Love that guy.
He's so sexy.
So, as we are wont to do with these streams, we are going to begin with a quick solicit and then give our initial impressions of the book before we start diving in, flipping through pages, and talking about shit we like. So, the tag here. Survival as extra credit. It's 1987, and homeless teenager Marcus Lopez Arguello. Marcus.
Say it, Manny. Tell us how to say it.
Manny doesn't speak Spanish. That's racist, Ben. Even though his name is Manuel.
Manuel.
It's Portuguese.
1987, and homeless teenager Marcus has no reason to keep living until one fateful evening where he is approached by a mysterious girl who invites him to join King's Dominion Atelier of the Deadly Arts, a brutal clandestine high school where the world's top crime families send the next generation of assassins to be trained. Murder is an art, killing is a craft, and the dagger in your back is no metaphor. Enroll with the critically acclaimed team of writer Rick Remender, Wes Craig, and colorist Lee Loffridge to experience the 1980s underground through the eyes of the most damaged and dangerous teenagers on Earth, which is now a hit television series on Sci-Fi. I've not watched the show. Don't ask, okay?
Hey, have you watched the show yet?
God damn it. So, initial thoughts. Ben, I know that this book is quite formative for you and that you are an enormous Wes Craig fan, so I'd love to hear from you first.
It's
pronounced Arguello.
Arguello.
Oh, thank you, Brock. Arguello.
And he's got
Arguello. Deadly Class, I honestly didn't catch on until very late, probably around like issue 30 or so in the series, so I kicked myself for that. But this book was always on the shelf. The cover designs, like Wes's eye, not just his artistic eye, but that eye for using positive and negative space colors, which need to give a shout out to the long time colorist for the book, Lee Loffridge. I'm gonna screw that up. Yeah, just amazing, and I fell in love with it from just that perspective of doing things that you wouldn't normally do in comic books. You know, typically you have a very stagnant layout, and Wes just knew how to play with the page. And he actually has his own series that he's writing and drawing right now, Kaya, highly recommend, especially if you have kids and you want to have a book that you can sit down and read with them. Kaya is fantastic. Still all Wes's art style. The colors are just phenomenal. But that is what I think is so cool about this book. Growing up as a kid in the 80s, and of course, when I was in high school, it was in the 90s, but wasn't far from, like the grunge and the punk and everything of like the 70s and 80s genre. So seeing Rick and Wes using their childhood and putting that in this book that had this spin of like a secret assassination society was just so cool. I really think that, and I actually have a page, what is it, it'll be like issue 46, one of like the big pivotal moments in it. It's like the only comic book page of art that I own.
The original?
The original inks, so you can tell it was something that he drew digitally, and he had inked over the full page. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, super passionate about the book. I think if you like angsty teen drama, but with like that action-packed side of, hey, on our off time we have to go kill people or take out drug cartel leaders or anything like that, it's such an odd spin, but is really interesting. And again, just huge fan of Wes's art style.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like both of you guys knowing just how much like the punk movement, like Ramones, Cure, everything like that went, and knowing, just talking to you guys and knowing your background and growing up from that skater vibe and then playing like your own music and rocking out, I really thought, man, there's so much that I feel like you guys would have enjoyed with this book. So how far off was I? How much of the feeling did you vibe with? What were you guys' thoughts initially on the book?
Yeah, as soon as I finished reading it the first time, I remember like hating every single minute that I had with this. I'm just kidding. I enjoyed it. It's a good time. I definitely got like the punk vibe and everything.
Did Manny cut out for you, Ben, or just me?
I lost Manny too.
Oh no. Well, continuing on, definitely punk vibes here. Manny gone. Brock said it too, so it's not just me, even though it's broadcasting my stream. So of course it would be my experience that translate. Damn, they leaving him behind. Manny's a smart boy. He'll figure it out. Okay. This book, for me, is, I would describe it as a grower and not a shower. For me, I should, which isn't an entirely fair comparison because the art is amazing from panel 1. With Rick Remender, he toes this line for me where like his world building is so intricate, and like when he gets really high concept, he's incredibly strong at like building this up. Mm-hmm. But when he does his misanthropy thing that's like present in this book, he loses me a little bit, but then he wins me back with like other characters and like general plotting and world building. I just have a difficult time generally with like angsty, depressive characters that are just kind of like, fuck the world. And I don't know if that's like, maybe it's like a subconscious thing just because I was that kid. And so like that part of myself makes me cringe, that I was such a pretentious dickhead for so long.
Almost that self-hatred. Like, why was I?
Yeah. Like, you know how you just don't like people who amplify your worst characteristics, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't even like do it consciously. You're just like, I don't know why I fucking hate that guy, but it's because that guy is the guy you were 5-10 years ago that you've grown past, you know what I mean?
All that self-loathing, like, I'll never be that way again. Like,
yeah. But there's like the element of being an outcast, like, is 100% something I identified with, especially in high school. You know, it's not that I didn't have friends. It's like I had a small group of friends. I wasn't really in the social circle. I was in punk bands and I was very into doing drugs like these people. So it's like, you know, all of that rings true. There's a lot that I enjoy about this book. And again, Rick Remender has a thing where he kind of pushes me away some issues and pulls me back in. like that. And but I'll always like love and respect his work. I think he's incredibly talented, and I enjoy it a lot. But that, of course, is like a whole different side of this. Like, again, from panel 1, the art is fucking delicious. Oh my god, it's so good. The colors in this book are insane. I love Wes's line. Like, Wes is amazing at doing really simplistic gestural renderings of people, but then also doing incredibly detailed like facial expressions and action sequences. Like, he plays with that balance a lot, and I love it. Like this page especially, the old guy, I love his squishy scrunched up face and detailed mustache. But then, you know, you get this sequence where they're walking down the staircase and it's simple silhouettes and shapes. I think they play with that really well. Beyond anything, though, you know, I was telling Brock about this before everyone jumped into the chat. This book feels like an anime to me. You know what I mean? It's a high school full of assassins, and there's these rival cliques and factions, and they get into all these hijinks. It's definitely westernized, but it very much like follows anime kind of tone and principle, which I enjoy.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And you're back.
I got lost there for a second. Yeah, I got disconnected as I was talking, so that was cool.
Yeah, we just kept it rolling. You're good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you didn't get too far, so you just jumping right in. It works.
Well, you know, I thought it was cool. Like, I remember listening to a interview with Wes Craig as he was drawing, and it was him talking
Was it
about
the sci-fi one?
yeah, it was a sci-fi one.
World
Yeah.
Con? Yeah.
Yeah, as they're at the con, and how he talked about how Remender and him kind of like vibed with loving the same sort of music since they grew up in that same sort of realm. Whereas Remender was more of a skater punk and Craig was more of a other punk. I forget the term that he used, but
Oh, what
Yeah.
was it? He really liked it was like the plaid shirt. There's a character that they introduced later on that is like just Wes dressed up
Oh.
in the character's outfit, but like
more grunge. He's more grunge stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
grunge
yeah.
skater, because it's like still loved, you know, the shorts and everything that skaters would wear, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool, and I definitely got that vibe throughout this whole book. I mean, I think what's cool is that he's like using that chisel tip pen.
Oh my gosh, isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah, he's getting those like chunky lines and stuff, so that's sick. But it's also got like a nice grit to it as well, you know. And yeah, the colors really stuck out to me the most, I will say. Especially when he's tripping balls in the in that
That's my favorite sequence.
Yeah, that is
I'm the acid
fantastic.
king, baby.
Yeah, I'm not the acid king.
Well, and just the feeling of being an absolute moon man is like perfectly encapsulated by this 2-page
Yeah.
sequence, where it's like the facial expressions of everybody else and seeing these exaggerated shapes and colors and signs and the clowns and like Las Vegas. Like, without going into too much detail, I have had a similar experience in Las Vegas, and it was similarly not fun.
Yeah, Kevin was 15. He was with his assassin high school friends.
Yeah, and I murdered
yeah.
a gang of cholos. That's right.
Yes, and someone's father. Yeah, that was all Kevin. I'm just kidding. But what I thought was sick though was Wes directly like taking from Sin City and like Frank Miller books.
Yeah.
Ton of Frank
like
Miller
there's a
here.
sequence. Yeah, there's a sequence where one of the characters is crashing through the police window, like the front window, and
So
smashing
through the windshield.
Yeah, kicking through the windshield and going into the car and beating everyone's ass directly from Sin City. Like this whole sequence, basically, which is awesome. And,
Oh yeah, he was a huge Frank Miller fan, because I
Oh,
mean
yeah.
that
there's
you
even
know,
a nod to that later
yeah,
on,
talks
too.
about Sin City, Daredevil, like Frank
Yeah.
Miller's run on Daredevil, talking about running up that tightrope. And
Yeah.
there's in like later books, you'll see that's a lot of the ways that like Saya will get across a rooftop. She like literally just runs across, you know, phone wires and electrical wires and things like that. So
Hell yeah, gotta do it. I mean, there's even the one bit where he takes a panel from The Dark Knight, like the news.
Yeah, I saw
Reporter.
that too. Yeah.
and it is Harvey Dent, and then it cuts out to the
Yeah.
next channel. And you're flipping through all the- I was like, that's amazing. That's so good. Love that. And I also love the sequence where I'm kind of going all over the place, but like I'm just flipping through here, and when they come across the hillbilly or the hippies, and he takes all the tabs, and the dude just runs away. He's oh shit. That's a funny bit. That's a funny bit. But yeah, just love all of the love that was put into this book and everything. It definitely shows. And then also on top of that, the coloring is, like I said before, is fantastic throughout this
Well,
whole thing.
Something that we've often talked about when it comes to coloring is like they provide a vibe or a mood, and that's what I love about Loffridge's colors. Like there's so
Oh
much dependent on the colors being on point. Um, and like you were saying, Kev, with like the acid trip in Vegas, like those colors are so crazy. The neons and the high vibe and everything like that, all the way till to like them driving across country in the desert and feeling all those warm tones and everything, or like the cool vibes of the city. And you get all those grays and like tinted blues, and there's just so much. If anyone is ever curious, I did. If you go out and read Time Police or get your copy of Time Police, there is something that I straight up was like, I want to do something like this in Time Police. So the scene where you've got Marcus and how am I going to forget his name now? I love this guy. Such a tragic character. It's like his
Billy?
first friend. Yeah. Or no,
Or-
the
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the kid with the gangbanger family.
yeah. He talks a mad game, but he has a lot of trouble with actually following through with it. But I just love that scene. I love just so much about this book from a full design standpoint. And like I said, this I didn't start issue 1 with this, which makes me really sad, but I loved all the vibes that I got when I jumped on. And then when I bought the trades, like dude, if I would have picked this up first issue, I would have been hooked like 3 or 4 pages in, because you got all this setting, again, the purples and everything, talking about San Francisco in the late 80s. And you got the skateboarder kids and like Wes's character design showing like the difference between modern business guys and like skater kids. Uh,
Oh
so,
yeah.
but then like Marcus talking about his personal tragedy, like his parents dying because Reagan was like,
Oh yeah.
the whole mental health thing isn't really an issue. So we need to clear out the asylums. And so you had like a schizophrenic, um, suicidal schizophrenic that like jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco and like landed on his parents, killing them. Um, and then he goes to a home, and there's a whole the thing that's hinted at in the background of volume 1 is something happened at the home that Marcus was placed in that led to all this. And so it's kind of hinted at through the rest of this book with one of the minor villains that they have pop up from Marcus's past. But yeah, just when they showed this page, this 2-page spread, the crazy cool colors at the top leading to the gray memory and that red balloon that he lets go as it goes past the woman that like jumps off the bridge killing his parents, and just the reds with
Yeah, the blood smear. And I love like the very simplistic, triangle nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you talk about, Frank Miller, a huge influence, just the way those repetitive panels, right? Frank loved to do that. And calling out just the repetitive panels and the repetition. You see, young Marcus, his reaction, the slow shock on his face here, and just the haunting dead woman sitting there smiling at him. It was, yeah. After I got volume 1, I just was immediately like, all right, I'm gonna buy as much as I can off of the site to catch me up to speed, because I was hooked at that point.
Yeah, man. It's a good little tragic story.
It's great.
Yeah.
But I will say, and something, Kev, to your point on Rick's side, Rick talked a lot in some of the interviews I was listening to. A lot of Marcus's, because there's a journal that Marcus constantly writes in and kind of details all of his thoughts. And so some of what you get from the narration is actually Marcus writing in his journal. A lot of it he pulled directly from things he was writing as a kid. Rick was an army brat, and so he never stayed in one place for too long, and talked a lot about some of his experiences moving from place to place and seeing all the different groups, going to grade school and high school, and seeing the jocks and the preps and the druggies and the all this stuff. And so that was a lot of what he brought into this book, was honing on that and just that feeling of isolation. Like you're always by yourself. You're the odd person out. I'm curious, you were saying there's a lot that kind of turned you off. Was it him again just kind of going too pretentious, talking about just being that dude, I'm an outcast, I'm a loner, I'm just kind of curious about more of the detail, what you liked, what brought you back in versus what kind of pushed you out.
Yeah. I think the actual like raw mechanics of Rick's writing is like really strong. Like I do enjoy kind of the turns of phrase and like the syntax he uses in dialogue especially, but like in his narrations are great too. For me, I have kind of a natural, trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. Like when you get into those characters who are like, woe is me, fuck the world, I just like, you lose me a little bit. I don't mind depressed characters because obviously I read a lot of depressing books. Like I do read a lot of Tom King and Ed Brubaker, which at the forefront is like lonely men. So like it's not that I dislike that. It's like that kind of like edgelord version of just like, and the kids are dicks and I don't care and I don't fit and when I get set up, like for me it was more of like okay, we're quickly establishing this character and where he's coming from and that he's not into this situation. Like, get me to the good part now. Like, because when that is our it's just the foundation of so many books and so many like animes and TV shows and everything. Like, I just like, I'm like, okay, get me to the part where he learns to not be a dick or starts to understand the value of people. Because he's almost like irredeemable. You know what I'm saying? Like he's experienced this horrible tragedy, but he's like, fuck the world. I'm going to kill myself. Like I will beat up homeless people. Like I don't care, fighting and whatever. And then the moment that like starts to win me back is like when Saya, is that her name? Is like Saya is like pulling him off the ledge, kind of metaphorically there. But then like once the plot starts to accelerate, then I'm like in. And so like, especially when it gets to this sequence of the kid playing the 720 on the arcade machine, and you get that element of humor, and he slams the door in the cop's face, and he's running around. Like, I love that sequence, and that's when you kind of won me back. And then once it kind of settles back into its high school thing, I'm like, I feel like I've watched this anime before. It's a high school story about a kid who's like miserable and then he finds his place. Cool. But this does do a good enough job. Like, I don't want to sound overly negative because the story, like, it did win me over and win me back. You know what I mean? I just like when it's that misanthropic, I'm so much better than everybody, but the world sucks and I hate myself and I want to die, but I'm also cooler than everybody and I hate everybody. It's like, okay, sure. And those are the kinds of things I harp on. But it's necessary foundation to show growth. I understand that. And I don't dislike this book pretty much at all. It's just, it had to win me over.
Now, I will say that Volume 1 suffers from world building. And I think that's some of what the pacing I felt really is a kind of a struggle up until you get to like that first homework assignment, like going up and doing that assassination, and from there it picks up, and you kind of feel, the only other down point is when they go out to the concert and they meet the guy dealing acid and everything like that.
And I
then
love
once,
that. Yeah.
once they hit that, dude, and again, I just being able to set the scene, and I mean,
Yeah, and it's like colored the tone of piss, like
Right.
which I love because like if you've never been to a music festival, that's exactly what it's like. It's you're in the middle of a field with a bunch of grimy hippies, and it smells like hot piss.
yeah.
Um,
Man, I love the color transition of when the guys are waiting at the bus stop and he's listening to the Smiths.
yeah,
Yeah.
When we have that blue at the very top where we're seeing lyrics and stuff, and then it's green, and then it turns into that light from the bus, and then they're on the bus, just that in the same
Yeah.
pose, basically. That transition of color too is so freaking sick. I loved that. I mean, throughout this whole book, I'll say it again. I'll say it probably 15 more times, but yeah, they do definitely capture the feeling, the heat, the piss smell, the intensity, and the violent sequences, and especially the Las Vegas sequence where it's just tripping balls. Like, gotta use the psychedelic color palette for that. It's great, fantastic stuff.
yeah.
Good storytelling.
Good storytelling. And Ben, you're kind of a bit about the classes and the explaining of the cliques and how everything goes. Like, it really always makes me think about like when I'm engaging with a story of any kind, whether it's a book, a comic, a TV show, a movie. My favorite things are when I'm going, wait, what the fuck? Who is that? Why are they trying to kill that guy? Who are these people? Why is this happening? Oh my god. Like when I'm in that mode, like the first issue where it's just all of a sudden every cop in San Francisco is trying to kill our main character for some reason. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then a badass chick shows up. And I'm like, who the fuck is she? And she's just like killing everybody. You're like, whoa, like what is this? Like, what's going on? That's my favorite. And that's when I'm like the most engaged with any story. But as soon as you have to slow down and someone goes, this is our school and this is what you learn and these are all the cliques and this is like, I understand that's necessary. And it's not that they do a bad job in this book, but it makes me wonder, like, how do you do that without making it feel like somebody explaining to you everything? You know what I mean? And it's not that this is like pretty cut dry. It's like less than half an issue. It's maybe 8 pages of like, here's all the context you need, and then we're going to go. And so it's just like, how do you deliver that? It just makes me think about my own work and the stories that we're telling. How do you deliver that exposition in a way that isn't, I don't know, boring or slows you down? You know what I mean? Like, how do you maintain that momentum? Or are you supposed to not maintain the momentum? You're supposed to take a step back. I don't know. These aren't criticisms of this book necessarily. It's more of just what I'm thinking about.
And I can see why, like, as far as just getting introduced to the world, it definitely slows the pace down. I think what would delineate a good book, which is what I feel Deadly Class is. It's a fantastic work of fiction versus just a book where you're like, they just need to fill page count. Like, so many of these groups and cliques later on actually matter. Like, there's so much of a socio-political background to everything. Like, I need to go talk to somebody in this group that I can actually win over to my side, so that way we can team up against this group who there's no way, like, they represent a huge threat. So we can hopefully make sure we cover our ass if some shit would go down. Some of it you get through, class assignments and things like that. And I mean, going back to high school, there are people that you get sat at a table with because that's how the teacher assigned you, or you get assigned
Because your last names are similar.
Exactly. It's like, I would never affiliate with this person if I had to choose so on my own, but giving it that high school background gives them some leeway to make these connections plausible. And thankfully, I, of course, I would happily read through all these volumes again if we ever wanted to come back and revisit Deadly Class and like do, maybe a volume a year or something like that. but going back through and seeing, are there any plot threads that just it never mattered representing that content? And in my mind, I can't think of anything like that. There's always a reason in the story that they're providing this content. Um, so I definitely get it. I felt that myself reading through this again. I'm like, the pacing does seem to just slow down in weird spots, but for I feel the right reasons going forward.
And that's really helpful to know. And like again, any of my criticisms should not detract from how much I ended up enjoying this book altogether. Like truly, like I would definitely buy every other trade of this book. I mean, I almost bought just the compendium outright before even reading it because I was like, I know I'm gonna like it. Like I do love Rick Remender and I do really like Wes Craig. This is my first time really like sitting with Wes Craig rather than just kind of observing from a distance. But I'm enjoying it like thoroughly. It's helpful to know that it does slow down in terms of like pacing and actually intermingling these groups. And that's kind of Rick Remender's thing with his world building, is that like his pacing can be uneven, but it ultimately always builds to something prominent and important. For those of you who don't have this in your pull list, you should be fucking reading Napalm Lullaby, Rick Remender's current book.
Oh,
It's so cool, but it is like some episodes it's like dystopian sci-fi heist book, and then like other issues it's like we're just going to talk about the religion of this world for like 20 straight pages, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
3 was a little rough.
Yeah, it can be all over the place, but there is that momentum of this is a big world and he's really going for it, and it doesn't feel like a book that's supposed to end in 6 issues. It's supposed to end in 80, right? Like there's something going on here. So again, it's not easy to write nor draw something that's supposed to be 60, 80, 100, 150 issues. So like
What?
if you can even if you can pull it off even just by doing it, and like half of it is not that good, you still fucking crushed it, because 100 issues is like an insane task. And I don't even know how many issues there are officially of Deadly Class. There's what, like 7 trades?
So I'm trying to remember when I got it all, but I know the real milestone for Wes and all of this was hitting issue 50.
Yeah, that's so many issues. That's crazy.
And from an artist perspective, I think, Manny, I can only dream of just having 1 issue printed, let alone 50. But Wes was kind of saying, dude, 50 issues was a milestone. I was just happy to be in a book that had anything past 12, that like allowed me to tell a full and complete like trade, to really give him that credibility in the comic book industry. Right. And he really attributes like that with being able to do Kaya now. Now he can go out and make something of his own volition, where he really felt like he wouldn't have had that traction if not for Deadly Class, which I disagree. I think he was doing Guardians before all of this.
Yeah, it was.
And then when he got onto Deadly Class, like this had all of his attention. He did little one-offs here and there. But yeah, Manny, I don't know, man. When I look at the artwork, and we've talked about this so much, you brought up the like kind of that needle drop for the music on the bus. There's so many things that, like, in my head, that's the furthest from my mind. It's like, how would I be able to show music in this? So just curious if there's anything else that kind of popped out in your mind where you're just like, dude, this made me feel a certain way because of Wes or Rick, or the color as well.
Anything that popped out to me, I mean, it was mainly like the sequences we've talked about before. I really thought it was really fun, like him tripping balls in Vegas, and like there's certain sequences like throughout those issues where like body parts are dripping off, and there's just like weird stuff happening. Doesn't really know if he's falling towards a palm tree when he jumps out the window. There's little things like that those were great. Anything that stood out to me the most, though, I don't know.
I did have one question I forgot that I just remembered. Character design, and Kev, I'll be able to hear your thoughts too. But like Manny, dude, we know number one, character design is part of the funnest side of creating books, but is also the most frustrating if you just can't quite nail it. I don't know.
Yeah.
When you looked at this, what were your thoughts on like character design? Because so much of it had to be set in the real world. It wasn't, eye beams and capes. Like this is
Superhero
all,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
This is our main character is like nearly white t-shirt, blue jeans kind of guy.
Yeah.
But like you're figuring out what's going on in his head, right, as we're going through the story. But I really loved the punk rock looking guy. Is it Billy? Is that his
Yeah, and
name?
he's wearing shirts of like the Exploited and Vandals and stuff like
Yes.
that throughout the show.
He just looks like Johnny Rotten to me. Like every time. The
No.
spiky ass hair and shit is great.
One thing that's like I love, especially in this like shot where they show all the outcasts, is that it's very Breakfast Clubby, and I mean that in a respectful way, where it's like, here's your Robert Smith Cure fan, you know what I mean? Here's your like straight edge anarcho punk, you know what I mean? Here's your Riot Kid who's really into the Pistols and like bands like the Addicts and stuff. Then you've got this kind of gangster rap black kid, right? Like you get all these archetypes because that's very much like what it's like when you go to a punk show, like and you're in a hardcore show in a DIY venue and it's the real fucking thing. It is not people that look the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
We're
see
all freaks.
yeah, all freaks. And like the running joke is always like the freakiest dude is like the guy wearing like a polo and cargo shorts and glasses, but then when he goes into the pit he's like punching people in the face, like he's just But you know what I mean, there's like there's like the skinheads with the sleeveless shirts and like the agnostic front like logo on it, there's your like weird skinheads with their red laces and their dock boots and people with mohawks and chains and safety pins. Like it's supposed to be a whole gamut of individuality and expression.
But fuck Nazis.
But fuck Nazis.
Fuck Nazis, yeah.
Which
The Nazis out.
Kick
no
the
one
Nazis.
fucking likes them.
Yeah.
They ruin everything.
Yeah, they fucking ruin everything. This is why it was just funny to read this book right after being at a Slutfest.
Right, yeah.
Because like again, I was getting very weird, dirty looks for not dressing like everybody else, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
At the hardcore show? Like where we preach nonconformity and individuality. I'm the guy who looks different, and therefore I'm the outsider. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens.
It's not like I wasn't in all these hardcore bands too, nor am I in, and I'm also in bands with half the people that are fucking playing up there. Like
we opened up for a few of them, so
yeah.
Whatever.
So whatever.
I will say, like from a reader perspective, and it was funny because I think it was during that video that we were watching, Manny, or maybe it was a different interview I listened to, but they were asking Wes about age appropriate, and a lot of this is I almost feel 16 might be okay, 18 definitely, but be careful who it is that you're handing something like this to. They definitely can't have delicate sensibilities. There's a lot of language that is not time has not treated it favorably, and nor should it, because there's a lot of slang for different ethnicities, and they use it to kind of show the differences between people, and sometimes it's just shown that like a bad guy is a bad guy.
Yeah. That's a bad bitch. Not in a good way.
There's also I've got the page here. There's a whole like 3-page sequence about goat fucking.
Yeah.
There is.
Which was really one of my favorite sequences in the book. Just a cop like walking around. Well, one when he crunches on the mayo jar is a brilliant touch. That's just an absolutely disgusting detail. With the and he walks in, and they don't show it. They're not graphic about it, but there he is. And
got the belt unbuckled, and
the guy says, "I'm feeling a bit judged by you."
Spreading some love.
Yeah, I ain't hurt no one, officer. Spreading some love. Wouldn't shoot a fella for that, would you? It's a great character introduction.
Away from the goat and put your hands in the air.
This dude reminds me of Arseface from Preacher too.
Big time.
So just a little bit.
Half-
I mean, he doesn't have the asshole mouth, but you know, it's
Yeah.
still he's still fucked.
He's half Arsface, half the stranger from Fallout.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I love that design, and there's a reason for it, right?
Oh,
If you kind of
You can read
it
between the lines and figure out that he burned down his boys' school, like his boys' home.
Yeah.
Is at least what they
Right.
allude to in this. How true that is, actually, I don't know. I'll have to read and find out.
dude, it's so good. Because it definitely takes a little turn, but they again breadcrumbs all the way through. There's a flashback before you see Marcus all dressed up at the syndicate school,
right.
and in that flashback, there's so much that ties into this character and the boys' home and everything like that. But I absolutely love just the little things, the way that Wes does this character design, and then knowing, of course, Marcus towards the end is like sitting there tripping on acid. It allows him to do like weird,
Yeah.
like the faces and just playing with everything. And then he loves to toy with Marcus. Like he knows how to push Marcus's buttons. And of course, you'll learn more if you continue reading into volume 2. But again, loving just all of this, knowing that God, Billy is such a tragic character. Um I don't want to jump too much into everything because
Billy's the black kid who didn't kill his parents.
Billy
that's
is the
Billy.
white kid whose dad is the one that they go after in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The other dude's Willie, I'm pretty sure.
Billy and Willie.
Billy and Willie. Yeah, it's
Well,
not
see. Why would I get that confused, right?
right.
See, like, I don't even know why, like, you did. Billy.
One thing we didn't talk about too much, we kind of alluded to it. I fucking love the lettering in this book.
Oh yeah, it's Russ Wooten.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
legendary Russ Wooten, yeah.
That's just one of the best letterers in the game. I
Really
love
is.
the sequences. Let me find a good example of it where it does like the huge negative space on like the like outer edges of the page and then fills that with dialogue and like like this. Like where you just get the whole narration and caption like this, and then you just let the panels take up this sequence. And he does 2-page like pieces like this. I love this. It makes it so readable. Brubaker and Phillips do this a lot too. I love when they do this. Like it makes it so easy to read. It's also just like framing, so you don't have to worry about filling your page, covering the art with all that caption work. It's like, no, just give it a third of the page right there. Just perfect.
Just more. Yeah, it's fantastic, and it fits the art. You know, it's not just some random like digital font that's thrown on there. Like I see that in some comics where it just does not fit aesthetically. It's not pleasing. It's not like really thought up. But Russ Wooten, every book that they're on is like fantastic. Just every time it fits the art. It fits the style of the book.
Yeah, I'm
I'm a
just
big
flipping
fan.
through this sequence of him on drugs and on acid when his buddy leaves him in the room, and he's flipping through the channels. You know, we talked about the Harvey Dent thing with that Frank Miller kind of reference. Him just pacing around him and leaving the room, and then when he turns, he's the Tin Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is when the book like fully sent for me, where I was just like, I will read every issue of this book. You know what I mean? Like all the acid sequences, because he just nailed the feeling so perfectly. Like obviously we've already talked about the amazing sequence when they're in Vegas, the scary face of Ronald Reagan. I love the snake tongue as she's looking to seduce him. Like
Yeah.
all these little
That was a good
details.
touch.
And like even the way that her word bubble comes out here, it's okay, Marcus. Everything's going to be okay. But her head is like huge, and he's just
I love
staring dead ahead.
Highly stylized with
Yeah.
all the extra.
I think my
Detail.
favorite bit when he's tripping is the when the cop is talking to him, and the cop is huge, but his head is like getting squished. And Marcus's head is like squishing in.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. And then he finally gets released. and they just feel small for like the rest of the the rest of the page or the next page over. And then someone tries to get weird with them. And he gets chased.
I also love the Mr. T slot machines where he's pulling, you see all the fruit, he's just pulling the thing, and he's like, sorry, T, and then, you what, fool? This is great.
Yeah.
How pity the fool who doesn't play my loose slots.
Just the squash and stretch on his face here when he gets caught by the cop. Like, and again, the fact that his eyes never really blink, they're just kind of always in this like cracked open state. It's just hilarious.
Well, and I will say, so the one thing that I do enjoy so much about like these first couple of volumes, you get so much of just the characters interacting. There's not too much of that angsty like teen drama. Later on, you know, there is kind of this love triangle with Marcus and Saya and trying to remember the other girl's name. I was hoping to find it.
Yeah, the Mexican girl who's trying to seduce him, or Salvadoran.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, I absolutely, why I can't remember her name. I absolutely love her because early on you see she's actually in disguise. She's the one that they'll put in like the Dia de los Muertos makeup
like
and everything.
Oh, did I totally fucking miss that?
It's in the first issue when they're out on the streets and like the cops go
Oh,
to
with
chase
the
him.
fan. That was the dead giveaway.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yep. She's out there and she is, again, talking about character designs. I love seeing her in that makeup, and Wes continues to play with it, continues to like change just the way that he does some of the makeup or the costume outfits for her. And then the one thing that you know, Wes was kind of regretting is Saya, because she is from like one of those syndicates, like the Japanese or Asian syndicates. She has all these tattoos all over her, and it looks gorgeous. But he was just like,
he has to draw that every time.
Every time. Right?
I'm just gonna give her sleeves. Fuck it. Like, she's wearing shirts. No, but I mean, with her character design and with all of them, like the key to good character design is always fucking silhouette. Clearly identifiable shapes and the way that shadows and light bounce off them. Like, everybody's clearly defined. You can clearly tell who is who, even if it was in silhouette or in shadow lighting. Like, the sizing, the way that their heads are shaped, it's fantastic. That's something I'll always notice with great character design.
Right.
You're never wondering who's who.
Gotta see the shapes.
Gotta see shapes. Shapes are important. Shapes and color and texture. That's pretty much, like, you could pretty much make a book that was just good shapes, color, and texture, and I would read the whole fucking thing. And, like, I don't care what else is even going on in there. Be like, yeah, but
Those
just
are
look
all
at the
the
shapes.
comics that we love, actually, have all of that.
Yeah. And then that extra little cherry on top for me is just sad guy. Put a little sad guy in there. We're good.
Why? It's Maria. Maria is the name of the other one. I don't know. I kept wanting to say Delilah or something, but that's going back to Luther Strode.
This fucking panel of him doing the cocaine is killing me. Just that face. It's so good.
I love it when the girls do it.
Yes.
Yeah, you're my best friend.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Funny.
Man. This book is an absolute the big Joker smiles on him when they do that. You are so fucking cool, Saya. Best friends forever. Suspenders, I'm also just noticing, you know, common choice for Saya. Interesting. I just don't know anybody who wears suspenders, you know what I mean? But in comics, people wear suspenders.
That's right.
Because they look good. I love that
I
they're
like-
doing cocaine off of a Def Leppard album. That's
Yeah.
really funny to me. This book is great, and like you were saying, Ben, as a single trade, it does tell a cohesive story, but it's so clearly predicated on it going for a very long time.
Right.
Which I think kind of mires a lot of my like conclusions for how we draw things. It's kind of like most of my thoughts are, well, if this happens, then this thing was great. But if this thing doesn't happen, then maybe I don't like it as much. But none of those feelings are strong enough to make me be like, you know what? I don't think it's worth reading. I truly do think that this is a book worth the time investment. The art style is wonderful. It is very misanthropic, but it never takes itself too seriously. It is fun and fast paced. The characterizations are great. The world building is dense, and the action sequences are delicious. It is overall a very fun book. And if you like anime, like Gunslinger Girl or High Rise Invasion, this book is going to be right in your fucking wheelhouse.
Street. Boy.
I will say there is something again just about the colors, the look. It's crazy to me to think that like Wes hasn't done more mainstream stuff. Again, he's popped up here and there as far as creative endeavors for Marvel and DC. If you like his style, go out and check his Guardians run out. It's a lot of fun. It feels a little different than what this is. His design, his artwork, it just feels so him. I think you get a little bit of Frank Miller. I think you get some Mignola, but there's enough to just make it all his own. I love just his way that he can experiment with the page. And if you're looking from like the artistic side, if you're looking for people that play with layouts and try different things, like Deadly Class is Wes's playground. And there's a lot I don't feel like Rick or his editor or anyone kept him too constrained. I'm certain there was some. And if you like Deadly Class and you want to see Wes just being full Wes and being experimental, then check out Kaya as well. Especially what he's doing right now in Kaya. It's him kind of revving up that series. So you can just see how crazy experimental and fun he gets. But all in all, I personally have not watched the Deadly Class series. That was it Sci-Fi did.
Yeah.
Really worried that they were gonna.
It only
mess
got
with
like a
things that
season or two, right? Like it didn't get a
think
full run.
Yeah, it got canceled. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Which-
don't hold that against the show. Sci-Fi
Right.
is a stupid network that doesn't
Yeah.
actually get shows for a long time. Yeah, it only got 10 episodes.
Oh,
I
that's
will
it?
say
Oh, wow.
when you Kev said like an anime, that just it fits it so much more in my opinion because it
Really
allows you to do some crazy action and visuals throughout. But so I'm like, I don't know how you do an acid trip in like a live action show like they did here. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It is one of my all-time favorites as far as the series goes. And I would say the only drawback, and I kind of lean on you, Kev. Sometimes I get lost in Rick's writing, and the only thing that really will bring me back or save me sometimes is Wes's visuals. So, from a balance standpoint, I think there may be some of those issues throughout, but all in all, I think it's a fantastic series, and Volume 1 is the best place to start.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like I said, I caught in like midway, and I'm like, holy crap, I can't pick up here. I kind of know what's going on, so I immediately went and started buying up the trades. Go out and get the compendium. if you
It's
can,
huge. It's
or
like this thick. It's crazy.
it's awesome. And I think it's only like 50 or 60. So there's, I think, 2 compendium volumes that gets you everything. But go out and get it off of Wes's shop. Like, Wes has his own store. Go follow Wes on Instagram. His link's out there. But the dude is just way too nice. He's Canadian, which may explain why he's so nice and such a
Canadians are the master race.
yeah. But if he more often than not, like, he'll just do sketches on the inside of everything. He loves just saying thank you to people by giving you that extra little bit of care from the artistic side. So yeah, go out and get him off of his shop, because if more often than not, you'll have like a little extra something inside the book from Wes.
Kaya's already got 3 trades. Holy hell!
He's going hardcore. I have all the singles, so maybe one day I'll convince you guys to at least pick up the first trade, and we'll talk about the weird world of Kaya.
Oh yeah, he's got some variant covers of the Energon books. I'm just looking at the image site right now.
I'll definitely pick it up for sure. I thought it was brand new. I didn't know Kaya was going on for a bit.
It's like 2 years now.
Dang.
Yeah, he's done. He just issued, this month is issue 20 of Kaya.
Great place to jump in if you're just curious as to what in the world it is and seeing his artwork.
Definitely into it. Fuck, man. Yeah, Rick Remender is a writer to be praised, to be respected, to be studied. He doesn't always hit, but when he hits so fucking hard. His books are incredible when they're at their best. I mean, I'm looking at some of his credits now. I mean, even outside of comic books, he wrote fucking Dead Space, which is such an amazing video game. One of my absolute favorites.
Yeah.
He also wrote Bulletstorm, which I don't remember. No, if you remember that game.
What?
And that's what sent him back to indie comics, was like, I'm never working for fucking EA again. And he's got his own imprint, which is on the back of this book, Giant Generator, which they have an exclusive deal through Image, essentially, where they just put out whatever the fuck they want, like, which is insane to me. Like, it's basically just like, oh, Remender wants to put out a book, here you go.
And I was gonna say, like, looking at the trade cost, you picked yours up recently, Kev.
$10.
Yeah, it was $10.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, when you think all in all for a trade, you're maybe spending 20. So go pick it up for half the cost of what a normal trade would cost you. You won't be disappointed.
I was just like,
Yeah, the art is fantastic.
I was just racking my brain for a couple other great titles, because right now I'm just reading Rick Remender's current books, which is Grommets and Napalm Lullaby, which are fucking fantastic. Yeah, he's doing Grommet. He's co-writing it with Brian Posehn, the comedian.
Wow.
He's also co-writing The Holy Roller with Andy Samberg, which is about a Jewish superhero who uses a bowling ball as his weapon.
That's awesome.
Hilarious. He's got Sacrificers going on right now, which is like supposed to be great. I haven't read it. Seven to Eternity, obviously like a modern classic. A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, Tokyo Ghost, and then he's got so many other ones like Low, Last Christmas, Fear Agent.
Tokyo Ghost is with Sean Gunnar Murphy too, right?
Yeah, Tokyo Ghost is him and Sean Murphy.
If you love dystopian, futuristic sci-fi, like, that book is, it's rough, but in like the best ways.
Oh, it's grimy, but it's fucking sick. Oh, also, he apparently worked on The Iron Giant and Titan AE. I don't think as a writer, but more as like an artist.
Jesus Christ.
Rick Remender is a legend, and we should have probably had someone like Dan Slagle or Ben Roberts on this stream, because they are like enormous Rick Remender fans, and I'm kind of underselling his work with my criticism. But truly, like, Rick Remender can be rough around the edges, but when he fucking hits, he's hitting hard. His world building is, as we've mentioned, slightly uneven, but so dense and so intricate that it's always worth diving into. I'm always a fan when I read Rick Remender. He's also punk as fuck, and he like is DIY or die, essentially. He's just like, I make comics because no one can tell me what to do, and that is something that I resonate with so hard. For those of you who haven't listened to, well, if you don't know the podcast Off Panel and you are watching our stream, what the fuck are you doing? Go listen to Off Panel. It's the best podcast about comics, period. And he's David Harper, the host of Off Panel. His interview with Rick Remender is one of my favorite episodes ever. It is just Rick Remender basically explaining how punk and underground comics are just interwoven, and like that DIY spirit is so integral to what we do. And yeah, he's right. That's why I like comics, because no one can tell me what the fuck to do. Like, all I need is a guy. You know what I mean? I don't need $1 million and 100 people. I don't need a record label or a movie studio. I just need one other person who's like, yeah, that sounds crazy. Let's do it. And then we're fucking in. And that's it. And that's why I love Rick Remender.
Maybe pretty soon, Kev, you'll just have your own harem of artists. So Manny and I'll dress up in short shorts or something for you. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe grow some tits, boys. Did you ever think about that?
I'm getting older. I'm working on it.
What can you do for me? You know what I mean? That's what these relationships should be. Not reciprocal.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah, no. That's what I used to do to Manny when we lived together. He'd be drawing, and I'd be like, Manny, come out and hang out with us. And then he'd like take a couple steps outside of his room, and I'd be like, get back in there and fucking draw. Or I'd just like kick his door and it'd be like, keep drawing, and then just close the door. No, I'm well aware that I only do
all in fun, by the way.
Yeah, all in fun. Manny is one of my dearest friends, and we always have the running joke that I do about 5 to 10% of the work, then he does the other 90. Same thing with you, Ben. Now that we're working together, like, please know that I don't view this as my project ever, and yeah, like I'm just happy to be included.
I'm just waiting for the Irish slurs. I'm certain that you had like all kinds of slurs for Manny, so I'm just waiting, to kick the virtual door down and just start calling me all kinds of like, come on, potato head. Let's go.
Gets into your house and just
How did you? What the fuck?
It's different with Irish slurs because I'm allowed to say them. Those are our words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not Portuguese, so I can't call Manny slurs in that way. I mean, I can do whatever I want, but with Mick fucks, with dirty potato peeling, hard boiled Mick fucks, I can say whatever I want.
That's right.
I don't know, Manny. What are your final thoughts here? Because I think we've covered enough Deadly Class for hopefully people to go out and know this is one that everyone should go add to their shelf. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think maybe wait and think about that because this book sucks. No, I'm just kidding. It's great. It's definitely a book you should add on to the shelves. I am very much interested in getting the compendium or the omnibus, whatever it's called. Because that first volume I haven't read in a few years, but reading it again, I'm kind of like, I want to see how this all closes out. I want to see this to the end kind of thing because it's fun. It's a fun time. It's like almost like a coming of age, like outcast, high school story, but like let's make all the kids assassins.
Yeah.
Definitely an anime for sure, like what we were saying before. So it's got good vibes. Got the punk vibes. It's got the cool vibes. Great colors, great art, great storytelling. It's all there.
It's also like, let's celebrate creator-owned books that go over 50 issues. Like,
Seriously.
how many of those do we actually get? Like, Saga is the exception, not the rule. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's like Invincible, Walking Dead, because Robert Kirkman can do it. And then there's, I guess Spawn's been going on forever.
Savage Dragon has like 1,000 issues at this point.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So it's pretty impressive. Image does impressive stuff, man.
Yeah, man. I think Ice Cream Man is actually getting up there, which is funny.
What? Really?
Ice Cream Man has like 9 trades.
Holy shit!
Crazy.
Wow. That's like an anthology though, right? They're all little
Yeah.
ideas, like
Yeah,
issues.
it's
each
not
issue.
like an ongoing story. Yeah, it's all
That's still
anthological.
cool. That's
It
still
is.
cool that people are still buying that type of storytelling up. See,
Dude,
that's what I like.
by the
Single
way,
issues, full stories.
this has nothing to do with this run. Well, I've been reading 2 books that are single issues, like just like 2 concurrent runs. Fantastic Four, Ryan North's book. Every issue is its own story, and it's fucking great. They don't tell stories about all members of the Fantastic Four. It's like 1 or 2, and they're so much fun. It's like just sci-fi story of the week. What a perfect format for the Fantastic Four. I'm not caught up with the singles, but I will buy as many trades as there are. And then EC Comics just launched their new titles. Epitaphs
Yes.
from the Abyss, and I think it's called like Weird or Creepy Tales or something like that. Hold on, let me go grab them because they're on the table right next to me.
I think I
While
might have to
he's-
go to the shop tomorrow. You know what? I'm gonna go to Ultimate tomorrow, and I'm gonna make a fucking. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna
You
get
would.
EC books and
Wait until Friday. I'll join you. But I would say while we're on Rick's books, one that wasn't mentioned was Black Science, and Black Science and Deadly Class have both completely wrapped as far as like their stories go. Absolutely love Black Science. Matteo Scalara
dude,
Scalara,
yes,
Mateo Scalera
Yeah.
is amazing.
these
Those-
are fantastic.
fantastic artists. And again, you talk about character designs, creature designs, everything like that. Like Mateo, friggin' knocks it out of the park. But it is like a time travel, world travel, like thing where what happens if that all goes wrong. So if you're a fan of time travel and being able to jump through different worlds and seeing what that is, now you have to completely like not think that not follow any of the common tropes of time travel or space or world travel because it's going to get real weird, but in the best way possible. So go check out Black Science.
Dude, I like that. I like the sound of that. Sold.
Flipping through right now.
Sold, so-
Epitaphs from the Abyss, the new EC comic. That'll just be purely anthological. I mean, it's slasher.
I would love to be a part of EC book comics. I would love.
Oh my god!
To
Yeah,
draw
they're already saying for the next issue or for the upcoming issues, we're gonna get Tales of Torment and Tension with Brian Azzarello, Chris Condon, Jorge Fornez. Like these names are fucking nuts. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Chris
That-
Condon's on this one, and then there's Cruel Universe, which is the sci-fi EC Comics collection. Holy! I mean, look at this cover. Look at that fucking oil painting ass fucking cover.
Oil paint ass.
Yeah, Matt Kent and Kano are on
Oh
this.
Gosh, that's
Chris Condon, like, yeah, look at the champion, and it's an arena fighter with a dinosaur. It's so sick. Like, please go. This we'll go into this into our stream where we talk about our weekly polls. But if you're not fucking reading the EC Comics rerun, fucking what are you doing, dude? Get these books. Throw as much money as we humanly can at them. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I want these to go on for forever. Oni Press is the one who owns this whole reprint series, or not even a reprint series. It's an original run of new stories.
Oni does it. Oni puts out a lot of great manga. So
Yeah, they do. So read these books; they kick ass. Yeah, me and Ben are going to talk about our comic polls here because I just went to the store and picked up my polls that I had been calling in and saying, "Add this to my poll. Add this to my poll." For a month. Didn't go pick them up. So now I have a huge stack that I've been reading through, and they're fucking great. Fellas, it's an honor and a privilege to talk about Deadly Class with you all. This is a fantastic book. Our last and final reminder of the stream, as always, if you want to read these fucking books, you gotta go to your local comic book store. What are you doing? If you're in the Greensboro Triad area of North Carolina, go to Acme Comics. Specifically, go to their downtown location. Those are great fellas who run that store. If you're in the Raleigh area, Capitol Comics is a great place. Durham, I believe there's Atomic Empire. Great place to buy comics. If you are in a place, I mean, what's the spot? Oh, Sam Lamb, you're not here, but if you were watching, Collector's
No.
Paradise in North Hollywood,
love you, Sam
one of
Lamb.
my favorite spots. In West Hollywood, there's Golden Apple Comics, famously owned by Rob Liefeld. Go to your local comic book store. If you have one, shout it out. Comment it below. Say it in the stream if you're watching the live stream.
For those around the Indianapolis area, go down to Greenwood, go to Comic University, and get your books there. That shop was my like piece de resistance. That was like the one I'd have to go and check out. If you're in Columbus, Indiana, my old hometown, go to M&M Collectibles. They got an awesome little shop there and well curated. I love the way they're doing books now. So, shout out to the old stomping grounds.
Yeah, what an oddly specific location. Hey, that's the whole appeal of LCSs, is that they exist in weird places you wouldn't expect. If you're in a small town in the middle of fucking nowhere and they got a comic book store, go there. Show your patronage. Spend your money.
Yeah. So,
support those
go
businesses.
to at least the Greenwood location. I'm fairly certain it's very close to you.
Excellent. And finally, our last plug, for those of you who stuck it out the full hour and 10 minutes, mouthbreathersguild.com to buy all of our comic books. Join the Discord. There's a link there. Follow us on Instagram if you want. We're not entirely super active there, but the Discord, you can message us immediately. There are communities of artists in there right now talking about their art, what tools they're using, what comic books they're reading, what video games that they're playing. There is over 70 people in there just hanging out. So keep joining. Let's keep building the community. Let's keep being fucking nerdy, y'all.
That's right. Let's do it.
Mouthbreathers Guild signing off. Remember, we love you.